Two communities in Cape Town are against plans by government and PRASA to relocate railway dwellers to new areas. Makassar and Mitchell's Plain residents say there isn't enough land and the move will just increase crime in the area. They've now started a petition. Let's bring in our reporter Nobesuthu Hejana to give us more details on the story. Nobesuthu, two communities are seemingly following what Eerste Rivier residents did when they rejected the relocations of the Langa railway dwellers last year. 8.7 hectares of land has been identified in Mitchell's Plain, but residents aren't pleased.
Certainly, Anley. In fact, last year when I spoke to the residents of Eerste Rivier about the planned relocations by PRASA into that land, they highlighted the fact that the land that was identified, it was closer to the railway and also closer to the highway, so it was not safe and suitable for the relocations for the people. They then took PRASA to court and PRASA had to abort that mission. But we do know that in Makassar, PRASA has not yet bought the land, but it was planning to speak to privately owned landowners just to talk about maybe if they could be willing to sell the land and also check whether it's possible or suitable. But some community leaders in Makassar are saying that they've already collected about 2,000 signatures in petition to reject those plans, saying that should PRASA secure the land, they will ultimately reject it. But in Mitchell's Plain, we do know that 8.7 hectares of land have been secured by the Housing Development Agency, and the first phase of the relocation processes is expected to commence around about the 30th of November. That is where the Langa or Sehlala informal settlement residents are expected to be relocated. But the community leaders also, they're saying that they are against this, as already they have a backlog of the informal settlements that needs basic services. So they're saying that should those people be moved there, they will also be increasing the informal structures in the area, and that will probably aggravate the Sikalo informal settlement area community members who have been seeking basic services. But let's take a listen to the bites from both community leaders.
I had a meeting with him, actually asked the council to get PRASA here and HDA here, because we wanted them to know how our community feels about this, because they didn't involve us, they didn't ask us for anything, for our permission even, and they didn't tell us what the plans are. So we had the meeting with them, and the meeting went well, and we had an agreement that they won't do anything further until if they want to do, they will involve the community, they will ask the community's permission first, they will have a meeting with us first, and we came to that agreement.
They got to the part where they informed us that they were going to relocate the informal settlement on the central line. They informed us that the people will be relocated to the Philippi Wedge. Now, I'm the ward councillor for the Philippi Wedge, which is behind us. I asked them, where in the Philippi Wedge are you planning to move the people? Their answer to me was they cannot disclose because they fear for land invasion. I then told them that as the ward councillor, I object to the relocation because we have currently a Sikalo informal settlement with more than 4,000 people on private land who's been asking for services for the last 10 years.
Nobesuthu, PRASA says the November deadline still stands, but hopes that issues will be resolved ahead of this. What's the likelihood?
Well, when I spoke to Andiswa about these concerns raised by the communities, she basically said that because on their side, they have been approaching some of the stakeholders such as the HDA to ensure that the work on the central line resume, because they want to also be in line with their December deadline to ensure that the trains are back on the rails for the central line. So she's saying that she hopes that HDA will be able to resolve these issues, and saying that theirs was just to ensure that they find suitable land. But let's take a listen to Andiswa.
I think for now we want to give space to law enforcement and the SAPS to conduct their own investigation. We don't want to rule We don't want to make any confirmations or speculations whether the extortion was involved. From our side, we haven't received any demands for any certain amount of work or any money. So for now, we don't want to talk about extortion, but we'll allow for SAPS and law enforcement to do their investigations. I think for the past couple of 2 years, we haven't been able to run services on the central line. This has had a huge devastation on commuters living around that area who rely on affordable and efficient transport services, especially train services that are affordable. So it means that it will delay the recovery of the entire central line, although we have recovered a section of central line between Cape Town and Langa via Serapta and Pinelands. But now we were working on phase 2, where we wanted to recover the entire central line going up to Prisani sections, Kailicha and all of that. But now because of the violence and the intimidation that's happening on that central line, it will delay the recovery work on that line.
The Housing Development Agency has been accused of failing to hold proper consultations regarding these relocations. What is the word from them?
Well, they're basically saying that they were brought in to basically identify land and work with the city as well as the provincial government in ensuring that the piece of land that they secure is suitable. So at this stage, they have not yet received a formal complaint from both communities, but they're saying that obviously the November deadline still stands, but they are waiting for the City of Cape Town's approval when it comes to the City of Cape Town's town planning bylaws to approve the setup and how the informal settlement will look like. But at this stage, they will be holding those consultations at the later stage so that they can have those public participations from the community, especially in Mitchell's Plain, where their residents have already started planning to reject that possible relocation.
Well, thank you very much, Nobesuthu Hejana, bringing us that update from the Western Cape.